Rutland's Mall could get bigger.
And in the weather, we have an unseasonably mild spell ahead.
Stay tuned. Late News is coming up next.
Throughout the year, Kitty Drugs serves you, and we feel gratified with this pleasure. At this time of peace on earth and goodwill, Kitty Drugs wishes you all the happiest of holidays, and that you and your families enjoy this time of the year, reflecting on the good things in your life. Your local Kitty Drugs staff and management wishes you the most joyous season's greetings.
Good evening. This is the Late News for Monday, December 19th. I'm Alexandra Marks. The Rutland Mall can apparently expand, but only if it meets a long list of complex conditions. The Environmental Board released its decision late today. That decision reversed an earlier ruling by the District Environmental Commission. Catherine Hughes reports.
Juster Associates of Yonkers, New York, built this mall in 1975. 3 years ago, developers sought permission to double the size of their Route 4 shopping center and expand the parking lot by about 1,000 spaces. But the permit was denied for a number of reasons, including air and noise pollution, increased traffic, the burden to neighboring city services, stormwater runoff, and the relocation of the South Branch of Tenny Brook. Developers appealed, and late this afternoon, city officials who had opposed the mall were looking over the 36-page decision. Mayor Wenberg says he has lots of questions.
It appears that they have a permit to expand. Whether it's a permit that they would be willing to operate under is something you'd have to ask them. And I doubt that either they or we would be able to even estimate that until we have a chance to really sort through all the paper. Because the two orders are intertwined, it's a very complicated thing to work out and to see which conditions still are in effect and which are not.
But mall attorneys say they are confident that they have won their permit, and after briefly skimming the decision, believe they can live with the dozens of conditions imposed by the Environmental Board. Both sides said they would have more to say when they have fully digested the ruling. Catherine Hughes, Channel 3 News, in Rutland.
The state of Vermont has fined the H.A. Menashe Corporation $30,000 for operating an illegal gravel pit. The state charged Menashe had taken more than 10,000 yards of sand and gravel out of the Duhamel gravel pit in Morristown in 1985 and 86 without obtaining an Act 250 permit. The state said Menashe had also allowed silt and mud to run into the Lamoille River. Menashe agreed to pay the $30,000 penalty and set aside another $20,000 that will be forfeited if Menashe violates any water pollution laws in the next 5 years. A Burlington builder charged the cities out to block any development along Lake Champlain shores, but the city attorney denies that. Natalie Borak now reports on the dispute along the bike path.
Marty Lavin wanted to build a house here on prime lakefront property. He had permits, zoning approval, and he was ready to build. But he says the city bullied him, and his dream house was never built.
After an 18-month attempt to construct a duplex there, I was unable to do so.
He wasn't able to do so because in order to get to his property, he had to cross the city's pride and joy, the bike path. There's already a driveway across the path. It belongs to these buildings. Lavin says he inherited the right to use it when he bought the property. The city says no, and therefore the building permits are invalid.
The city officials were operating under this erroneous assumption that this parcel of property did have properly deeded right-of-way and access to it, when in fact it did not.
I'm not sure what I could do with the land other than go down and have a picnic on it and come in by water. Because I could go on the bicycle path to go jogging, but it's illegal for me to go across the bicycle path to get to my lot.
That's correct, but Letty says Lavin had ample warning. Before he even bought the property, there would be problems, and not just with the bike path, but also with the location of a storm drain.
So Mr. Lavin knew what he was getting into?
Well, with respect to the access issue and with respect to the storm drainage line, there's no question about it.
Lavin got so frustrated he ended up selling his property, but he's not giving up the fight. He says he'll probably bring a civil suit against several city employees, saying they infringed upon his basic right as a property owner. To that, Letty says, go ahead. It's his right. Natalie Borak, Channel 3 News, Burlington.
Another waterfront landowner that has done battle with Burlington is Central Vermont Railway. But now that company has been invited to speak to the full Board of Aldermen and present their master plan. The railway has already met with a few aldermen privately. That upset several board members because the city and CV Railway are in a court battle over the railroad's land. The aldermen say those meetings undermine the legal process.
And it's very important for the city council, for individual members as well as the council as a whole, to put that out very clearly that we will act as a body, and it is unacceptable for you to attempt to split us off. It sends a very clear message. It says we will not roll over.
Outside of the concerns of the public trust litigation, anytime a major landowner on the waterfront has an interest in the waterfront, I think it's important, particularly from Automatic Waterfront Committee perspective, that entity be allowed to be heard.
If the railway accepts the invitation, it will present its plans at the January 23rd meeting. Burlington landlords want to improve their image in the eyes of some Burlington aldermen, so they have come up with some proposals for change. They say everyone should have leases, elderly tenants should be given special considerations, and an escrow account should be set up for landlord-tenant disputes. The move comes on the heels of the failed just cause eviction proposal. The landlords say these changes will prove they don't evict people for no cause.
We could demonstrate that we are prepared to back that up by, in effect, taking away the no-cause eviction loophole. We've closed it. So as far as we're concerned, that debate is over.
Also tonight, aldermen sent a power contract with Hydro-Quebec to committee. That means more information will be gathered before the full board votes on a resolution. BED says if aldermen do not approve the contract, the city will, quote, miss out on a good deal. In national news, President-elect George Bush tapped a quarterback-turned-politician to lead his war on poverty. Jack Kemp is best known as the conservative architect of President Reagan's economic policies, but now he will tackle urban decay. Leslie Stahl reports.
The president-elect tapped his old campaign rival for a housing and urban development, a post rarely mentioned or noticed in the Reagan years. Mr. Bush pledged to elevate the position.
We've got to do better in terms of urban America. We've got to do better in terms of the other half of that mandate, housing.
I don't believe that we're going to solve the budget problem unless we have healthy cities. But I want it known that you cannot balance the budget off the backs of the poor.
Mr. Bush called homelessness a national shame, but offered no solutions. He said he supports Kemp's ideas, such as tenant ownership of public housing, but offered no new federal money.
You don't show your determination to solve a problem by simply increasing federal spending. There are other ways to skin a cat.
Mr. Bush gets 2 for the price of 1 with Kemp. He's a favorite of conservatives for his no-tax supply-side philosophy. And he's also in good standing with many blacks, mainly because of his work in the housing area.
Jack is a person who has come into areas like the South Bronx. He's gone into Watson, California. He's not afraid of dealing with blacks or Hispanics.
Tomorrow, Mr. Bush is expected to name Chicago transit official Samuel Skinner for transportation. The naming of Dr. Louis Sullivan, a black, for Health and Human Services was also expected, but may have hit a snag because of opposition from right-to-life groups that have organized a campaign against him because of his support of a woman's right to abortion. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, Washington.
Still ahead on tonight's broadcast, the Israelis finally mailed a workable compromise. NASA shoots for the moon, Mars, and beyond. Also, we will check in on Santa's mail delivery.
Ice on ice. A magnificent collection of coolly elegant diamond jewelry that will fire your imagination. The Ice on Ice collection. If he wants things to heat up, tell him to try a little ice.
Hi, I'm Sandy Preston of F.J. Preston & Son, inviting you to come in and see our selection of exquisite diamond jewelry from the Ice on Ice collection. Ice on Ice, jewelry to fire the imagination at Preston's, 17 Church Street on the Marketplace, Burlington.
The 2 major political parties in Israel today finally agreed to form a new coalition government. Bob Simon reports.
Prime Minister what he wanted today, a broad-based coalition which includes the mainstream Israeli parties but excludes the fringes. He got Labor Party leader Shimon Peres exactly where he wanted him. in the cabinet but out of the foreign ministry, where he'd been calling for an international conference. The new foreign minister, Moshe Aarons, is a hardliner who does not believe in trading land for peace, but who, as a former ambassador to Washington, understands the importance of cooperating with the United States. The new cabinet will bear an uncanny resemblance to the old cabinet. It will be Main Street Israel, excluding the extreme right-wingers who've been calling for many more settlements in the territories, excluding some of the ultra-Orthodox religious parties which had infuriated American Jews by calling for legislation which disqualified many of them from calling themselves Jewish. It will be, above all, a government which understands that Israel has to come up with a peace initiative soon. There's no question but that the administration's decision to talk to the PLO shocked Israel into forming this government this quickly. And the composition of the cabinet reflects an understanding in Jerusalem that Israel cannot afford a fight with the Americans or with American Jews anytime soon. Bob Simon, CBS News, Jerusalem.
The Red Cross says the help that's been sent for earthquake victims in Armenia is simply overwhelming. So much so that 2/3 of all supplies are still sitting in trucks and railway cars. Meanwhile, in Lenakan today, thousands of women and children were evacuated to warmer climates. But as Bill McLaughlin reports, those that stayed behind face a battle for survival.
The snowstorm that hit this city today has only made the intolerable worse. For the homeless and elderly, like the widow Agopian, it means huddling inside a tent, trying to stay warm and dry.
My husband was buried here, and I'm going to stay buried beside him.
The bad weather is also fraying nerves among the crowds lined up for emergency food supplies. It's as if the snow were yet another of nature's assaults against Armenia. There will be little rest, much less peace for the people of Armenia until all their dead, especially the children, are given decent burials. But at the rate things are going, that painful effort could last well into the new year. There were 400 children at the Petrosian Elementary School when the earthquake struck. 30 made it out alive. Mothers who came here every day to bring their children home now come every day and wander this heap of broken concrete, waiting for the rubble to give up the bodies of their children, surrounded by scraps of memories of what a happy place this was. The Red Army has concluded it will never find the bodies to fill these coffins. The women wait, hoping the soldiers are wrong, hoping their children will be found before the bulldozers come. Bill McLaughlin, CBS News, Lenakan.
Senator Patrick Leahy says he wants tighter controls on management and weapons buying. Leahy also wants a 2-year defense spending proposal. He believes the budget is much too complex to deal with on a year-to-year basis. Leahy has just been named to a study group that's looking into defense matters. The group is made up of former defense secretaries, members of Congress, and military personnel. NASA today unveiled its Christmas wish list for the next century. Mark Phillips now reports on the latest plans for the moon and Mars.
What's that? A rocket ship?
Yeah. Some fool trying to fly to Mars.
Even in these times of budget constraints, the scientists at NASA think it's not a bit foolish to aim for Mars. It's what they're asking for Christmas.
I think the ultimate goal really is Mars in the long term. How we get there, whether it's through the moon or Phobos, is a decision we'll have to make.
Whether we get there at all is a decision the politicians will have to make. Phobos is a Martian moon that NASA says would make a good way station to Mars, and Mars itself could still be explored from there.
The spaceship itself with crew aboard could on the surface of Mars.
NASA laid out other options today as it presented its extraterrestrial wish list for the next century. The route to Mars could stop on the more familiar terrain of Earth's moon. How soon could this happen?
Perhaps by landing on Phobos as early as 2003, Mars around 2007.
Grand plans that would carry a grand price tag.
It involves trucks and vans and ships that are going to go off to the planets. You're going to have to spend more money.
In a Washington environment where the talk is of saving, not spending money, NASA's dream flight to Mars will be an uphill battle in more ways than one.
First the moon, and then perhaps Mars.
President-elect Bush supports the growing space program, and NASA argues the Martian adventure would not take the kind of money measured in relative terms that President Kennedy spent to go to the moon. The cost could also be shared with other countries, even the Soviet Union.
Well, we've made it.
Flash Gordon got to Mars quickly and easily. Even by NASA's best estimate, it's 18 years and billions of dollars away. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Washington.
Well, time now for something a little closer to home, our weather, and it sounds like we're in for a warmer spell.
We are, and after some cold early morning temperatures, the mild temperatures are beginning to start to make themselves felt. Out in Buffalo, the temperature is still 46 degrees at this hour, and we will be noticing some warmer weather tomorrow. Around the region tonight, temperatures are still primarily in the 20s and in the teens, ranging from 12 degrees in St. Johnsbury up to 27 degrees in St. Albans. Currently in Burlington, the temperature is 28 degrees. The humidity, 63%. The barometer, 30.14 inches and falling. The winds are from the southeast now at 17 miles per hour with gusts to 23. Tomorrow they'll also be from the southeast at 15 to 30 miles per hour. Sunrise tomorrow morning at 7:25 and sunset will be at 4:15. Well, on our satellite picture tonight, we do have mostly clear skies throughout the area, just a few pesky clouds here and there, but in spite of that, we're not expecting those temperatures to be falling too much tonight. As a matter of fact, we'll probably see them rising a bit, particularly after midnight. And we have a mild southerly flow of air and a warm front that's going to be edging up into the region, so our temperatures for the next couple of days are most likely going to be in the mid-40s. Now, because of this, any precipitation we see is also most likely going to be in the form of some light rain or showers. We are looking for just a little bit. Hopefully it's not going to be erasing what snow we've managed to accumulate so far this year. On the cold side of this low pressure system, though, where the colder air is, they are seeing some snow, and once again in the Colorado Rockies, 3 to 7 inches of snow has fallen again today. Putting the clouds and radar into motion, we can see the track that the storm is taking is sending it right up to the Great Lakes, and then it will move up to the west of us. That is going to be keeping us on the warm side of that system. I'll be back with a look at our local forecast right after this.
Johnson's Furniture is having an inventory liquidation sale before their winter closing. Look for unbelievable savings. Everything must go. Johnson's Furniture House, Johnson's Plaza, East Middlebury.
The forecast for tonight, it will be fair and also windy. Gusts already to 44 miles per hour reported on Grand Isle. The lows will be 10 to 25 degrees, but temperatures may begin to rise, and they have already actually this evening. For Tuesday, increasing clouds with a chance of rain late in the day in northern sections, probably mostly cloudy in southern sections. The highs will be in the mid-40s. And for Tuesday night, a chance of showers, lows 35 to 40. For Wednesday, still mild with a chance of showers, highs in the mid-40s. And the extended outlook for the end of the week, fair on Thursday with a chance of some snow on Friday and Saturday. Hopefully it will be cold enough so that it won't be in the form of rain. The highs will be in the 30s and the lows 15 to 25. And that's a look at the weather.
So we may not have a white Christmas, just a chance.
Well, still too early to tell, but hopefully we won't be getting enough rain to erase what we've got.
Okay, thanks, Sharon. A British firm bought out the Pillsbury Company for $5.6 billion. For the last 2.5 months, the giant American food and restaurant company Pillsbury has been trying to fight off Grand Metropolitan's efforts to buy the company out. But Pillsbury lost 2 key court rulings this week, and they finally agreed to the takeover. The investment firm Drexel, Burnham & Lambert refused to accept a prosecutor's offer to plead guilty on some criminal charges. Under the plea bargain, Drexel Burnham would only have to pay a fine, and it would not have to run the risk of jail time. Drexel Burnham is charged with violating securities law, defrauding customers, and dealing with insider trading. An indictment is expected now sometime this week. Well, stock prices jumped higher today as fear about higher interest rates dissipated. The Dow skyrocketed 21 points to close out at 2172. 162 million shares changed hands. And coming up, the Liberty Union Party will not give up the fight.
Give a healthier new year with a membership at Champlain Fitness Club. You'll enjoy the most complete free weight facility in Vermont with flex fitness machines and personal training offered by nationally known bodybuilder Mark Tasconi. Benefit from aerobics classes and equipment, life cycles, Concept 2 rowers, and Challenger treadmills. Slimmer system toning tables help firm and aid weight loss without building muscle. On-site childcare is available too. Special holiday prices just $39 down and $39 a month. Call Champlain Fitness now.
It appears the Liberty Union Party will lose its fight for major party status, even though the party, vows to keep up the fight. Liberty Union had so-called major party status in this election, but the state says it lost that by not getting enough votes. Now the party is focusing on a specific election printout for Addison County.
Are within, for most of the positions, are within 5 ballots cast of 13,929. We've got 13,925. We've got 13,930.
Steckler says that for lieutenant governor candidates, the final vote listed is 5,100. But Secretary of State James Douglas says the computer failed to add the winner's votes on that printout. He also says the Liberty Union Party is desperately trying to preserve its major party status, which Douglas claims it clearly lost. A final hearing on the dispute is slated for Friday. Another election officially ended today in Vermont and around the United States. Now, you may have thought the presidential election was over last month. But under our system, electors like these three from Vermont are the ones that actually pick the president. Ruth Haslam of Lyndonville, Robert Pichet of Winooski, and Connie Johnson of Barrie cast Vermont's 3 ballots today. Because the Republicans won a majority of Vermonters' votes in November, there was just one choice on the ballot.
3 votes for George Bush.
At similar meetings across the country, 535 other votes were cast. In case you were wondering, George Bush still won the election. Well, over in New York State, there was politics of a different kind today. Republicans in Clinton County announced their pick for district attorney. Outgoing Clinton County DA Andrew Ryan called reporters together to pass the torch to one of his assistants.
The designation of Lois Webb as first assistant district attorney, the significance of which means that when I leave office on January 1st, Lois will succeed me by operation of law.
But Governor Mario Cuomo can still appoint someone he wants to serve out Ryan's term if he'd like. In November, Ryan was elected a county judge. Coming up in sports, the Canadiens look for another win against Hartford. Brad will have action from that game and more when we return.
What are we going to get them? There's got to be lots. No. McDonald's. Later.
So hard to find the right gift.
You wear these on your feet.
Not sure what they're like.
Wait, now.
Nothing seems quite right.
I give up.
What are we gonna get him, guys?
Food. McDonald's. All right.
The good times.
Why did you think of this in the first place? I did. I did.
Brad is here now with sports and a razor-sharp win.
For the Canadiens, they are really playing good hockey right now. I wonder if it's going to last. Oh, I'll wait and see on that, I guess. The Canadiens continue to play great hockey, beating the Hartford Whalers in a tight-checking 2-1 game. And for the Canadiens, they are unbeaten in 13 games at the Forum. In the early going, Grant Jennings of Hartford crunched Mike Keane into the boards. Jennings gets called for a major charging penalty. Keane got a separated shoulder. In the second period, Guy Carbonneau came up with a loose puck, streaks into the Whalers zone, and Carbonneau shovels in the backhander for a score, and the Habs have that 2-1 lead. Patrick Roy made that stand up with some fancy work of his own, robbing Reeves of Hartford of a goal here, and the Habs have won again. 2-1 was the final score. The Habs lead the division by 13 points now over the Bruins, and Patrick Roy undefeated in 14 games on Forum ice. Now let's go to the Rangers-Caps game at Madison Square Garden, and Russ Courtnall gets the rebound and the goal to tie the game at 1 apiece for Washington. But the Rangers just have too much firepower. Brian Mullen sets up John Ogrodnik flying down the left boards, and his pass to Kelly Cusio is a can't-miss proposition. 2-1 Rangers. Later on, Dan Maloney flips the puck to Tony Granato at the crease. He scrambles and scores the goal, and it's 3-1 Rangers, and that is how this game wound up. Other games, Edmonton wound up in a 5-5 tie with Buffalo at the odds tonight. Must have been a pretty good game. Edmonton not playing as well as they have been in the past, however. And Toronto, a 4-3 win over the St. Louis Blues. And that win by the Leafs comes in the debut of new coach George Anderson, the former Leafs captain and assistant general manager. He took over for John Brophy, who was fired today after weeks of speculation. The Leafs had been mired in a 10-game winless streak with just 11 wins all season. Well, the last NFL game of the regular season has the Minnesota Vikings hosting the Chicago Bears, although some of you may not be seeing it in the local area. The Vikings lead it by a score of 21-10. That's midway through the third quarter. Now, if the Vikings win, they will host the NFC wild card game next Monday afternoon. And if Chicago can find a way to pull this out, the Vikings will still be in the wild card game, but the LA Rams will be the host team. The NCAA has lowered the boom on the University of Oklahoma football program. The Sooners have been placed on 3 years probation. They're banned from bowl games for the next 2 years and from live television for next season. The NCAA accused the coaching staff of recruiting violations and lying to investigators.
Never asked any of my coaches to go out and offer any inducement to any athlete that we have ever recruited. And to my knowledge, till this investigation came about, I was not aware and did not know that these existed because I've been able to make those statements with a clear conscience in the past. It's difficult to now, being convicted of a couple of instances, but I know it to be something our coaching staff and our athletic department does not believe in and doesn't need to do.
Having said that, Switzer is accused of writing personal checks for his players' rental cars and to supplement the income of his assistant coaches. He then allegedly lied to his superiors about it. Switzer admitted writing the checks, but said he didn't realize that was against the rules. The San Diego Chargers are looking for a new head coach. Al Saunders went out the door after his team went 6-10 on the season. The Chargers were on the upswing lately, winning 4 of their last 6 games. And Colts head coach Ron Meyer fired 6 of his assistants today, and that includes offensive and defensive coordinators. There's not a whole lot going on the high school front tonight, but in boys basketball, Virgins knocked off Harwood 69-67, and it was Milton 72-57 for CVU. And in hockey, U32 routed CVU at Gutterson by a score of 10-2. That's sports for now.
Now, was that a very tough penalty that was put against the Sooners?
It's tough compared to some of the other schools that have been involved in the same kind of thing, but you know, I wonder if that's enough even because. It keeps happening.
Keeps happening. All right, thanks, Brad. Coming up next on the news, Christmas wishes are going out to Santa.
First Night is back in downtown Burlington on December 31st from noon to midnight.
A day and night filled with the music and laughter of New Year's Eve. First Night.
Buy your all-event First Night admission buttons at all branches of the Bank of Vermont, the Merchants Bank, Burlington Square Mall, the Everyday Bookshop, the Book Rack and the Champlain Mill, all area Grand Unions, the Fletcher Free Library, Pearl Street Beverage, the Flynn Theater, the Village Bookshop in Shelburne, and Bookspieler in Montpelier.
Buttons are $5 before Christmas and $7.50 after Christmas, so get them early. See you at First Night.
A man convicted of manslaughter and burglary escaped from prison tonight. This is one last news note that we have to get in. 38-year-old Robert Braley was out on the furlough program. He was scheduled to return to the Chittenden Community Correctional Facility tonight after an AA meeting. He is described as a white male, 5 foot 10 inches tall, blue eyes, shoulder-length brown hair. Braley has numerous tattoos visible on his left hand and the words Love and Tammy. You can see them on the left hand. If anyone has seen this man, please contact the state police immediately. Finally, tonight, Christmas is still just 6 days away, but children all over Vermont are already dreaming of toys and packages under the tree. And every day at this time of the year, the Postal Service sees proof. Santa's mail is coming in by the sackful here in Essex Junction. It's not always, though, prepared quite the right way. Some of the letters have no stamps, some no zip codes, but even the post office makes allowances for Christmas.
Santa Claus comes by nightly and with Santa's pickup service, and we give Santa Claus all his mail. We don't deliver to the North Pole, as you well know. However, Santa Claus does, in fact, get those kids' letters.
So who is answering the mail? Several community organizations are helping out by responding to the Christmas wishes of some Vermont kids. And that is a look at our report tonight, except we have Brad's last word.
Still no Eamon Coghlan, the Irish runner, a long-distance runner, holds some indoor records, has retired because of injuries he sustained in an auto accident.
Oh, that's too bad. All right, thanks, Brad. And the weather.
Well, we have a mild spell ahead with temperatures in the mid-40s, and we're likely to be seeing a little bit of light rain or showers beginning late tomorrow.
Let's hope not too much. We'd like to have a white Christmas. Thanks, Sharon. Thank you all very much for joining us as well. We'll see you again tomorrow night.